Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing YouTube channel. And if you've spent a second here, you will know I'm on a mission to give you everything you could possibly need to be more successful in your business. So that's about bringing you the news. That's about reacting to marketing content that I find on YouTube. That's about our What the series, which may well go back into production next week. Lord, let's hope so. What it's also about is dragging in anyone I can find who has experience of sales and marketing that might be useful to you if you are looking to be more successful in your business, which is what we're doing here today. This is Talk Marketing. I think we're up to episode 55 or something, 54. And today's guest has 7 years digital marketing experience. He is a serial entrepreneur and international keynote speaker. He is the founder of Titan Marketers and Youth in Business. His core business is to work to skyrocket sales for his customers through YouTube advertising. That's what we're talking about today. That's his specialist subject. If he isn't busy with that or his 4 kids, he is most likely fishing or diving because he's got a boat. Today's guest is Benjamin Jones. Hello, Benjamin.
Cool. Awesome to have me. Yeah, awesome to have me. Thanks for having on the podcast today, and look forward to helping you guys in any way we can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. So interesting then, you've got 4 kids and you've got a boat and you've got 2 businesses. So we should be really appreciative that you found the time to talk to me today.
Yeah, no, glad to be here. Like I said, the more people we can get out there and help, I think is really the key. So yeah, again, appreciate you having me on.
Okay, that's cool. So your specialist subject is YouTube advertising. As you know, there are only 5 questions. So the first question is how you qualified to talk to us about YouTube advertising. The second question is who do you work with? How do you add value to their lives? The third question is what is your recommendation for anyone who wants to get better at YouTube advertising or maybe start YouTube advertising? The fourth question is what do you recommend people read? And the fifth question is who can you throw under the bus or introduce me to who might enjoy or maybe just endure to have a conversation like this with me? So, really simple. We will start, unless you like to talk about something else to get warmed up, we could start with how you're qualified to talk to us about YouTube advertising.
Yeah, so well, thanks, Martin. I guess at the end of the day, we've been doing it now for a number of years. We run a YouTube ads agency and also done with you programs with clients, and we've scaled many to multiple 7 figures. We're a Google partner agency. We've been doing it for a while, I guess, and the proof's in the pudding in what we get in terms of results for our clients. Probably background though is, coming from in the land of digital marketing, having done my own marketing and spending a lot of money on Facebook and other platforms, and then sort of moving over to the power of YouTube, a few years ago now, it just amazed me the difference in terms of the lead quality we were getting, and also the costs. And yeah, I guess in terms of like how am I qualified? Basically, just in the results that we get is probably the main one. Also, yeah, I don't think there's any formal university qualifications or anything like that. I just basically came up through the School of Hard Knocks, and yeah, just sort of figured it out as we went along, and help a lot of people in the wake.
Okay, cool. So you're talking about the power of YouTube. Is there a power to YouTube? What is the power of YouTube? How does it compare with some of the other things?
Yeah, so I think, look, all platforms are great, and we market on all of them as well. But I think what sets YouTube apart particularly is the way that the targeting works in terms of finding the right clients. So what's really nice with YouTube, as far as I'm aware, is the only platform you can target other than Google search income and also intent. So, and that's really important. And I'll go into this in a little bit more detail, but platforms like Facebook and that, they'll only target at interest level targeting, right? So things that you're interested in. Whereas on YouTube, you'll actually be able to target, people who are interested but can afford your products. So, top 50, top 30% of income owners. And what's really nice about just that targeting option is that YouTube is owned by Google. Okay, so Google pretty much knows more about you than you'd like to even think about or remember. You're in a relationship with Google, whether you like it or not. They've got your browser history. They know what YouTube videos, they know what you're searching within the Google search platform. They literally record your voice every time you say, "Hey, Google." They know all your Google Calendar appointments. They even read all your emails and everything that's in, Gmail, let alone if you actually purchase anything online. So the actual targeting in terms of being able to find someone in an income bracket is really, really good, and leveraging that makes the biggest difference. I mean, that's just one. The other thing that really sets YouTube apart, other than having a video ad and the way that the buying works, is actually just that you can target people who have the right intent, or they're what we call ready to buy. So you can actually target people who are literally searching on Google search, I want this product or service, or best product or service. And then, next time they go onto YouTube, they see a YouTube ad. Or you can actually put your ads straight on top of anyone else's videos or channels. Or so, think about in your market, if people are typing in or watching videos around the problems that your business solve, you can then come up as a video. So that way you can target interest, you layer it out with people who are ready to buy income, and then you actually layer it with intent. And as far as I know, that's really the only platform you can really get such a qualified targeting, and then follow that up with a video ad with the right message for a good 30 seconds. And the way that works is the first 30 seconds in most pre-roll ads is free, and make a little mini pitch before they actually see the rest of your ad just really converts into a high quality click, if that makes sense. More so than if you were getting someone who was just scrolling around on Insta, Facebook, or something like that. So
yeah, it's interesting because I spoke to Tom Breeze like a lot of episodes ago, like maybe 40 episodes ago, and when I came to this, kind of my thinking was that people don't understand. People run businesses, they don't understand it's about having customers. It's about that's where profitability comes from. And they don't really understand that to have customers, you have to do marketing. And then to do marketing, you have to spend money. And so this was kind of my thing. And then what happens is you go out into the market and basically you get robbed of whatever resources you have. So this was kind of my thinking. This was my experience of running my own agency. And Tom convinced me that YouTube is actually the only place you need to be marketing yourself in your business, because that was kind of my beef with the world, was that everyone was like, just do this thing, just do this thing, just do this thing. Now, I'm a marketing generalist, and I say to people, you sit down, think about strategy, think about what you offer, think about price, think about targeting, think about all these other things, and kind of test everything. But it seems to me that maybe YouTube might just stand on its own. It might be the only place you need to market yourself, because YouTube is it's not a very particular thing. It's lots of things. It's a search engine. It's a like how-to guide. It's entertainment. It's a business for a lot of people. So there really is a huge amount going around YouTube, which makes it kind of everything. So the question is, like you say, you do everything, but the question is YouTube enough? Do you think could it take care of somebody's entire marketing? That's what I'm interested to know.
Yeah, it could. It really depends on the budget, right? So if you had $10 or $20 million to spend in a very small location, like you're running, like say you're a car auto dealer or something like that, and you wanted to just be within 100 kilometers of this just one area, and you wanted to spend $2 million on marketing, I mean, you could do that, but you're going to come to a point where you start to cap out no matter what platform you use, right? So
Right.
At that point, you may need to look at other places. But in most cases, if you're running, like a geography, like a state in a country, or you've got a population of a couple of million people and you only want to make a couple of hundred sales, then yeah, YouTube is going to be perfectly fine for you. Just coming back to your other question, like do all the platforms. And what's really interesting is when I say like, where's the best place that I should spend my money in marketing? And what's interesting is on the Google Ads platform, but it's not actually part of YouTube. And that would be the display remarketing that we do. So the best return on ad spend that I can get is if someone's actually doing retargeting through to people who visited my landing page through the little banner ads you see on websites. It is actually in the Google Ads platform. So it's sort of part of YouTube. It's in the same place, but it's actually like a site, like a different section of Google Ads, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, where that gets really powerful is if you can go out to people who've seen your YouTube video ads, landed on the page, and then everywhere they go, because the display network covers 90% of internet users, they're able to see you and your brand everywhere. And you've probably seen it. Like, you've probably gone to Amazon or eBay, or you've gone to book a cruise, and then everywhere you go for the next couple of days, you just see these little banner ads, right?
Yeah.
Um, they're really cool. And the nice thing with that is they only charge cost per click. So you get to have your ads in all those places, and you only ever get charged when someone clicks. So, and in terms of return on ad spend, like if you're doing search, Facebook, YouTube ads, whatever, that will get you the best return. Just for remarketing purposes, that'll get you the best return on ad spend. Second to that is going to be YouTube ads, and then depending on what you're doing on other platforms after that. So, in my personal experience, anyway. So,
Yeah, 100%. And the thing about remarketing is that some of the work has been done. Do you know what I mean? So they've already been to your landing page, or they've already been to your checkout page. They didn't quite press the button. So it kind of becomes a chronology. So you might have to do some display and some Facebook and some YouTube, whatever, to get them there the first time, and then it comes back. So this all goes on within Google Ads. Is that right? Like YouTube advertising, remarketing, PPC, display advertising. This is all part of the YouTube ads. So how did you end up being so focused on YouTube?
Well, basically, we were running large events, probably going back about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, or at least. We were running large events, so rooms in hotels, sort of more than 300 people. For youth in business, I think we have about 600-700 people at any one time in a room. And we were spending a lot of money on advertising and a lot of money on Facebook. And at the time, Facebook ad costs were just going through the roof. Everything was getting really expensive. And I was like, it gets to a certain point where you're like, this is just eating too much of my budget. And what else can we do? So we tried a lot of the other platforms, and we actually moved to search, but prior to that, and we were getting some really good results with search. And then we actually moved over into YouTube ads, and that's where things really started to take off from there. So, and then for me, I'm not biased on any one platform. It's just where the best results are that I can get at any one particular time. And so we were just slowly moving all of our budget over from Facebook to YouTube. And today, like 80% of my budget, or any marketing budget that we run with our clients, is usually in YouTube. The other, small percentages will be in retargeting or remarketing. And, Facebook, we'll just use that for retargeting or remarketing as well in most cases at this point, because it's just, you can't even get the tracking on it to work at the moment, and it's just super expensive. So, so that's sort of like my transition over. And then we actually ran some, like massive coaching programs and consultancies for people who were doing the same thing. We had 7-figure business friends who were like, can you help us with our YouTube ads? And then, I was like, here's what you do. And then in the end, COVID came along, and we were actually, a lot of the people we were consulting for just said, hey, can you actually run it as an agency? And then we turned into an agency, and while we were still doing our consulting, and away we went. So, so that's really how it all grew, I guess, from one. It was just a natural progression, so.
But you were just drawn to the thing that worked the best.
Yeah, pretty much. And when we really dialed in, like when we came, like probably a couple of years ago, when we really came into like targeting on income and intent, that's where it really took it to the next level, because like the leads were just so much better. Like if you're doing any sort of like high value ticket item, like high ticket coaching or agency, or if you're doing anything where the lifetime value of a client over $1,000, the leads that you'll get through on YouTube will be absolutely amazing. So that, you do get really good leads from search, but they're super expensive, right? So the nice thing you're able to do with YouTube is get those same leads, but with a video ad at, like a quarter or a third of the price of what you'd spend on search. So it just makes it really powerful.
Yeah. And so I'm just thinking now, apart from all the maybe more nefarious things that Google might know about you, or the more nefarious ways that they might know you or know about you, I can't imagine, like, if you were to map my engagement with YouTube, what you would know about me. Do you know what I mean? So beyond like the demographic, beyond just the interest, maybe into like just from my watch history on YouTube, I would imagine you could paint a pretty accurate picture of a person, of like a persona, just from their YouTube history.
Oh, for sure. And the other thing too is YouTube is getting to be much a more popular platform. Like it has more daily users than Facebook at the moment. In
Yes.
terms of this, just even the search, like what you're searching, I think it's like the second largest search engine behind obviously Google search itself.
Yeah.
But if you combine AOL, Yahoo, Bing, all the other search engines, just the search component of YouTube is bigger than all of the other third party, or, other search engines. So it's absolutely massive. So the data that they have is you can't even imagine. I actually found out the other day you could download the data Google has on you. So I don't have the URL or anything, but if you just search like how do I download my what Google knows about me, you can actually go into Google and download it. Now mine was like hundreds of thousands of documents and a couple of gig or something crazy of data that Google actually has on me. So in terms of like a human being, that's a little bit scary. But
Yeah.
in terms of a marketer and being able to get really dialed in people, that's absolutely amazing. So it's a double edged sword, if you will.
It is a double edged sword, but I don't know, because the thing that we're kind of that's going on in the background obviously is what's going on for Facebook at the moment in terms of privacy, in terms of their relationship with Apple, all of these things. So, I mean, I've seen that recently where Google PPC people are now pushing Google Display really hard because they're saying like all the targeting that you could do previously on Facebook, which you can't do anymore, you can now do on Google. Um, but it kind of ties in with another thing, which is like Google seemed to me to have got off pretty lightly in the not the legal sense because they're paying out huge fines every day, but in the global consciousness, people seem to be far less concerned about Google in terms of privacy than they are Facebook, for example.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if that comes back to like Facebook, being hacked and giving away heaps of different details or whatever. And Google does get literally fined all the time for it. But Google has heaps more data. They have the whole Google Drive network, the whole email network. They have the biggest browser on the planet. So the actual data that they collect is next level. And I had a question the other day on another interview where they were talking about, well, you know, the Apple update that happened with Facebook, did that affect Google? And do you see things like that affecting, YouTube and Google ads going forward? And my answer to that was, well, yes and no, but because Google owns all its own data. Facebook's very reliant on third-party data that they pay for, like to add into their algorithms. And so when they lose something like Apple, it throws everything in haywire. The thing with Google is it's in its own self-sufficient bubble. Like they have collected pretty much all their data. So if Apple or a third-party person, you know, pulls away, yeah, it will affect it, but not at the same degree, if that makes sense. So
It does make
yeah,
sense, but the question is why. I think Facebook have just annoyed Apple. I think that's what's gone on, is because they haven't extended the same restriction to Google that they have. But you're right. Like they have collected all of this data through their apps, through Gmail, through Maps, through the search engine, through the network, the AdSense network. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine how you could, or even if Apple did decide that they didn't like Google anymore, how they could actually extract all of that, or extricate themselves from all of that. Um,
yeah. And the other big thing there is obviously inside of the Android phones, they have the Apple version of the Play Store anyway. So
yes,
it, you know, so it would be like you say pretty difficult. I mean, it would make a dent, but not to the same degree. So
yeah. But the other thing that goes on is that Google seem to go about their business pretty quietly. Like, obviously, we've had this whole fuss now about Twitter, and Facebook's always in the news, and Apple's always in the news. But Facebook do seem to, not Facebook, Google do seem to go under the under the radar a little bit more.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if they just have better PR companies or they spend more money on that or what, but yeah, they don't have the same. I don't know if you call it bad rap, but reputation problems that some of the other platforms experience. So
Yeah. Or
I'm not
certainly
actually sure.
they don't seem to suffer them as noisily as the other platforms. But like there was the
No.
whole thing with the social dilemmas and stuff, wasn't there? And but Google wasn't drawn into that. Do you know what I mean? It's like it really was Facebook, I think, that they were after. Okay, cool. I'm really interested in this idea because the other thing is that the other platforms, Twitter and Facebook, have got into quite a lot of trouble for inflating their audiences and stuff recently. This is all coming to light like years after the fact. Um, whereas Google doesn't. What's the question? There's a question. The question is how. Okay, the challenge is that the problem with these monolithic corporations is that one person has a bright idea and then they change it globally for everyone. So the question is something about that is how do you keep up with this ever evolving hugely dynamic thing? I think the question I really want to ask is how hard is it to be good at YouTube advertising? That's the question I want to ask.
Yeah, so so there's to be really good at doing your own marketing. Basically, being good at YouTube advertising revolves around a couple of things. So one is obviously the first one. It doesn't matter what advertising is your sales process. So the first thing like we work out with people is, will your sales process work for paid advertising? Now we get a lot of people who come to us with sales processes who just don't work, and they see YouTube or Facebook as a like a magic pill that's going to solve all their problems. But if they don't have a sales process that's going to work or convert, then you need to stop the bus right there and reassess that. So, for example, if you're selling a $30 e-commerce product and you're only making $25, the clicks cost $2. Like, unless you've got like a 10% conversion rate, that's never going to work, right? so,
Yeah.
so you need to like have a sales process that works. Once you've got that, or you figured that out and you know what that is, then look at paid advertising. So that would be literally the first thing I step anyone through. From there, if you really want to be successful with YouTube ads, it really comes down to having a really good script and message to the right people, and then of course being able to scale it up through the actual ad platform. So for example, the first thing that we'll do to help a client, like the process we run either agency or done with your clients through, very first thing that we'll do is one, sales process, make sure that works, fix that first, right? Two, like just simple things like running split testing. Like no one, it's probably one of the biggest levers people can pull that they just don't do, right? So Google Optimize, if you guys don't know, is a free platform where you can do split testing on any site, and super easy. So if you're not doing that, then you're leaving money on the table. So that would be step one. Step two would be, right, okay, well, what's your like unique selling proposition, or what's the message that you want to get out? Why are you different? Like what's cool about you? And then wrapping that around like the avatars they want to go out to. So we'll actually sit down and map out like, we usually come down to 3 core avatars. And I'll give you an example. So in Youth in Business, for example, so that's another business I run where we help kids start businesses before they leave high school. The target's not actually the kids. The target we want to get in front of is actually the mums, right? So it sounds funny, but it's super true. So for example, like one demographic is homeschool mums. Okay, they hate the education system. They know that there needs to be something better and that kids need to learn about entrepreneurialism, right? So that's one school. Now, the other target market is mums who want the best for their kids, send them to private schools, buy them all the best stuff, right? And value education and that sort of thing. Now, when I create a video ad, I can't talk to those two people the same way. Because if I say, oh, school's hurting kids, they really need to learn how to become self-sufficient and entrepreneurial, and, that's the wrong path. Well, I've just gone against everything that the high-end mum thinks in her head, right? So I would then need to create a different video ad to those two separate audiences. Okay, one talking about how to overcome the system and have cool, like self-sufficient kids. The other one would be how to give your kids the best opportunities that no other kids can get, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same audience, but you need to speak to them differently, particularly in a video ad. So if you're doing like image ads on Facebook, it doesn't really matter because you can just be like, hey, this is what we do, come check it out. But in a video ad, you really need to speak to your audience and map them out properly. So that's the first one, is having your actual avatars mapped out, at least 2 or 3. And then what you'll have is you'll have a video ad that runs exactly to those people. And then once you've got your video ad, you then work out, well, what's the targeting of this avatar? Okay, where do they hang out? And you'll find that homeschool mums on YouTube are going to hang out in a completely different space to professional business mums with kids. So you then, what you do is you wrap the targeting around, who it is, who the avatar is, and then you scale out from there. So that, like, it's, I know it's like really basic, but a lot of people miss that point of just the right message to the right person at the right time, followed up by your call to action. So, and having a really well scripted YouTube ad is the next key, having it structured correctly. So for example, the hook, so I'm talking about pre-roll YouTube ads here. Okay. So there's lots of different types of YouTube ads, but the ones when you're on YouTube and you're just waiting the whole time to push skip, like those are the ads I'm talking about if you're not familiar with it. And then from there, what you want to do is have a really good hook. And that's the first thing that you're going to test. So you create one ad with at least 5 or 10 hooks. And the first thing that you test is the different hooks. And you'll find, like, we ran just a new campaign the other day, and I thought that this first hook was going to be a killer. It was actually number 5 that outdid all of them, right? And the actual cost for the click was half of everything else, right? Because that was the one message that hit the chord and stopped everyone from pushing skip, right? So that's the first thing, is that first 5 seconds is super critical. So getting like laser targeted on at least 5 or 10 different hooks at the beginning of your ad. Now, what's really nice, if you're shooting a YouTube ad, okay, it goes, by the way, length of a YouTube ad, around 3 minutes or just under if you can do it. And what you want to do, shoot 1 3-minute ad or just under 3 minutes, but then shoot like 5 to 10 hooks that go with that one ad, okay? So what you actually end up with, instead of just one video ad, you end up with, say, 5 or 10 different video ads. So that works really well. And then you can test them out to see which one actually works the best inside the YouTube ad platform. So that's really key, is in terms of getting the right message to the right audience. And then, of course, it's just scale. So once you've got, the right message to the right people and, it's all starting to feed out, then you can scale it out. The other thing that you need to do within that YouTube ad script, the next part, so there's actually 4 parts to a YouTube ad script. You may hear a lot of people talk that there's only 3, like hook, story, offer, or something like that. There's actually 4. Okay? And that's probably where we're different to pretty much anyone else you hear talk on YouTube ads. Because what we figured out is the first 30 seconds of a YouTube pre-roll ad is free. Okay, so it doesn't unless they click, it doesn't cost you anything. So if they skip that skip button, it's free, and you get 30 seconds. Now on something like Facebook ads, man, you're going to be lucky to get 15 seconds as a through play sort of thing that you've got running. So what we do is we have our hook, and then the very next thing that we have is called our elevator pitch. So the elevator pitch comes from the concept of, look, if you've ever wanted to get a promotion, you get in with your CEO at the top level of a building and you pitch them all the way down as the elevator comes down, you can actually pitch your idea or your concept or whatever. So what you want to do then in that first 30 seconds while the ad is free is do a mini pitch. So give yourself a little bit of credibility, talk about how you can help people, and just say, hey, if you'd like to see our free training or book in for a free call or check out our event or whatever it is that you're doing, click below. So within that first 30 seconds, you've made a call to action, just a very little one. And then if they hang around after that, and that's where you go into your story and you give them value or educate or entertain them in some way, then the actual click that you get is much better, because they're actually watching the rest of your video, literally knowing what you're going to pitch them. So it just pulls the curtain away from the whole, the old ad where it would be something like, check this out, and then it's a long, long process, and then you make a pitch. You sort of mini pitch and then like close at the end. So the 4 steps, I didn't run through them. Sorry,
That's okay.
We were hook, then it's elevator pitch, then it's story where you educate, entertain, but you need to give them some value. This is not just a Facebook, ad where it's like, hey, buy now. You have to actually help people. Don't just talk about the features and benefits of your product. You need to talk about them, the people you're talking to, because you're in a video ad and it's a conversation. And then lastly, you need to have the close, so the call to action. So they're really the 4 steps. to a YouTube ads video ad, and to get really successful on YouTube, like that's what sets out. I guess you'd say like you know the wannabes for those who are getting results. Are the people who have like a really dialed in message, speaking to the right people, and the conversion rates speak for themselves after that. So yeah, does that make sense?
It makes entire sense. And you kind of answered the question that I hadn't asked, which I kind of clumsily was suggesting at, but I hadn't asked, which is it's not just YouTube ads, because you have to sit down and you have to do the strategic bit. You have to think about, firstly, who you want to sell to, what it is you want to sell, how you're going to price it, your value proposition. All of this work has to be done. So YouTube then is just the mechanism. It's just how, it's just the channel. Maybe this might do everything you'll need it to do from there, but certainly there's work that goes in before that. And I love the idea that you have this, so you almost can qualify them out before it's costing you any money. You can almost say, look, this is the offer, this is what you need to be interested in, this is how we do it, this is what it's going to cost. And if you give them all of that in the 30 seconds and they're still with you by the time you're paying for it, then like you say, that's a qualified view. Yeah, but we are talking about video here. So video is like distinct from an image. It's 25 times more every second. It's 25 frames every second. And you're talking about going for 180 seconds. So it's thousands of times more. So clearly there's some skill in that. How do those videos get produced?
So super great question. So the thing with video ads, and this is why I think a lot of people don't move over to YouTube, is because creating a video ad scares them. They're like, I have to be in it. I'm not good on video. I've got a face for radio. Whatever their setup is, right? And that's why like YouTube is literally bigger than Facebook in terms of daily users, but there's only 20% of the ad budget like globally that gets spent on YouTube versus Facebook. Okay. Now, the reason for that, I believe, is that coming over the YouTube ads platform is actually quite tricky and different to anything else that you'll use. But the other thing is creating that video ad. That's what I think the big problem. When I talk to people, that's their biggest stumbling block of coming, say, over to YouTube. Particularly when you tell them they have to rescript new ads and their Facebook ads that they're already running won't work. Okay, so because again, you need to be adding value and talking to people. So you can't just get a Facebook ad and chuck it on YouTube. It just doesn't work. So what you need to do then is create these video ads. So in terms of creating them, now it really depends on what you're doing. So if you're e-commerce, you obviously don't need to be in it, right? You can get an e-commerce video ad done up quite easily. Now, if you're running any sort of coaching, consulting, and you're either attached to the brand, or they're going to be talking to you on a sales call, or they're going to see you at an event or a webinar, or whatever it is that you're selling, they're going to talk to, your associates at your law firm, whatever it is that you've got going on, it is better off that you're in the video. It just converts better because, you're in it. Now, you don't need to, and the other thing is people think they need to have Hollywood ads, like high production, I've rented the studio, I'm going to go shoot myself a YouTube ad. And that's literally not the case. And it will actually do you a disservice because people actually want to do business with people. So for example, if you come across like a real human who can solve my problems, that's going to oversell a, glossy veneer finish every single time. Okay. Because particularly on YouTube, because YouTube, if you watch the videos on YouTube or content on videos, the style of video you're watching is just a guy talking to like this, or, it's just a person walking, or it's not like they're watching TV and everything's been super well done and produced at a very high level. So the level of recording that they're expecting is not super high. And all you need to do, like we shoot all our video ads, literally, I've got it here actually, of like this is all we use. So this is all you need to shoot a good video on YouTube. So one is just your phone. So I've got I think it's the high-end Samsung one, but my business partner has the high-end Apple. It works really well. And then I just use this. So this is the one we're using at the moment. This is our just a DJI. It's actually a couple of years old. I think you can actually get these for about $100. I think it's a DJI Osmo 4, I believe. Now, the next question I get asked is, well, what do we do with the mics? How do we do the mics? So I actually use a Rode Go. That's it there. So Rode Go wireless. So I put one here and then one on the inside of my shirt. And I think these have like a 50-meter range or something crazy. And they're like $100, $200 or something nuts. And that's it. It's really, really easy to do. And the ads that we find work best, like in an office, if you're doing like an office, like you're a professional, like in an office like this would work great, like literally with your microphone near your face, with a whiteboard behind you, talking to a whiteboard, or like I go walking outside, I find a moving background works quite well. So walking, and then I just literally get someone to stand in front of me with this, like just from the waist up, and then the moving background, and that works really, really well. Pro tip: if you're super pale like me and you go outside and you get sunburnt, shoot it at sort of sunset or sunrise. The lighting is really perfect, and you'll shoot an awesome ad. So yeah, that's how you would shoot it. So don't think you have to have a high quality ad. You really don't. And if you did want to make it high quality, you've always got, editing it afterwards is going to be the biggest difference rather than the shot itself. As long as you got a clean shot with good audio, you can do all sorts of really cool stuff with it. So, does
Okay,
that answer?
that answers the question. And the thing is, I mean, especially if you compare it with 10 or 15 years ago, these phones are essentially the means of production in the digital age. Do you know what I mean? And if you're a Marxist like me, then you understand it's all about the means of production. So we can have the cameras and the stabilizers and the microphones, and we can be producing quality that might have been TV standard like 20 years ago. So that is insane. Then it's just about the script. Then, so you learn the script, or do you speak off the cuff, or how do you do that bit?
Yeah, so you don't speak off the cuff. That's like enemy number one. You have to stick to the script. So you've got two, because you've only got just under 3 minutes usually. So you really have to be like every word counts. So particularly before the first 30 seconds, getting that elevator pitch right, you have to sum up your whole message and how you help people in less than 30 seconds. Now, a lot of businesses has never even been through that exercise in their lives, right?
Yeah.
When you ask people what they do, they give you like a 5 minute spiel, and it's ridiculous. So the other thing that's really good about going through that process is when you go out and meet people and they say, "What do you do?" You can instantly say things like, "We help businesses scale to over 7 figures with YouTube ads, and we have a proven system to do it." And it nails it in a sentence. Do you know what I mean?
I
So
know what you mean. Yeah.
the nice thing that you want to do is it just gets your message really, really clean. So you don't have the option of ad libbing. So what we do is we literally write it out sentence by sentence, like the way that the script format works is sentence and then a gap and then another sentence. So if you're really clever, like my business partner, you can memorize like half the ad and do it in 2 takes. I'm not blessed with that amount of like ridiculous like memory power.
Yeah.
And I think he did acting or something when he was younger, so that helps. But the other thing, all I do is I just put it in my back pocket, the script, and I'll start walking. If I'm doing a walking one, that's why I like those. And I'll say one line. And then, so I just need to remember the next sentence. And then I stop, pull out my thing again. The next sentence, it will be whatever it is. And then I'll start walking and then record that bit. And I just keep the camera recording the whole time. Then the video editor chops it up. And what's really nice about that is if you deliver the sentence well, you only ever have to deliver one sentence at a time. And the other nice thing about it is it cuts the frame. So when they edit out the bit in the middle, you say a sentence and then it cuts slightly. And then you say a sentence and then the video cuts slightly. So it actually has the added advantage of keeping someone's attention because every, 10, 15 seconds, the frame's changing slightly, but it's still the same background. So that's a really, really super easy way to record your YouTube ads in a way where you only ever have to remember one sentence at a time. And you can shoot a whole 3 minute ad in probably about 15 minutes. So really,
Yes.
really easy to get done.
The other thing you might want to look at is you get these teleprompter apps for the phones. So you could actually be reading it off the app. I suppose you'd have to get good at reading it then so you don't look like you're reading again.
Yeah. So the way we do that, if we have a script, so we have you can buy the little, I don't have one here, but you can buy the glass teleprompter and we just put a tablet in it.
Yeah.
that pops up, and you put your phone on a tripod. This is more for inside the office ones.
Yes. Yes.
And literally every word just scrolls up on the teleprompter. You can buy one on eBay for like $200. You just
Yeah.
stick it on a $50 tripod, and that's all you will need, right? So, good
Yeah.
lighting, natural lighting from a window, and that's it.
Okay, cool. So you don't need any flashy technology. You don't need anything that's very expensive. You don't need flashy presenters. You don't need sets. You don't need any of these things. Like, have you tested it's actually um, these style of ads perform better than more professionally produced ads?
Yeah, so we've done some tests on like some of the like we've done some high end ones. We've actually got like an actor to come in and act out some of our ads and do those versus us doing them. And every time we do it, it works better. And I don't know if
Yes.
that's just because we're closer to the message and people can sense that we believe what we're talking about or what, but it does work better if you do it. In terms of the high end ones, like we haven't like had like a fully TV studio cast like ad done and then use that,
Yeah.
in comparison, because there would just be no point paying someone 10 grand to come shoot a couple of YouTube ads that we could do for next to nothing, and
Yes. Yes.
half an hour of our time. So yeah, we have done some where we've like after edited. So, after post edit, I think it's called. Yeah. So we've like edited to a super high spec. So like heaps of flashy graphics and, whatever. And we've even done some where it's just B roll. So no person, just all B roll, like super fancy. And none of them actually just beat a person talking to another person. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty great.
Because this is a discussion that I used to have with video production people. I started my business in 2005, which is when we just started getting decent video cameras. Some of them weren't very decent, it turns out, 20 years later. But I got into the habit of standing my customers up in front of my phone and asking them these questions about why they use us, how they use us, when they use us, blah, 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 for testimonial purposes. Um, the thing is, what you get like that is an authenticity that you don't get by paying people to do it. Do you know what I mean? And you get an honesty. So it's really good customer feedback and it's really good marketing because it's like, I don't know if you had DAS in Australia. We had the DAS adverts in the UK where they'd knock on people's door and go, why do you use DAS? And an actor would come out and say some stuff that was scripted. The beauty of this was these were actual people who were running actual businesses and having actual challenges and actually working with us and actually telling the truth about what we do. So I think that authenticity is really valuable and really sets you apart from the TV version, which nobody believes anymore. Do you know what I mean? If they ever did believe it. Okay, good. So the question I have now is what different things can you be achieving through YouTube advertising? So you're talking about kind of coaching businesses and online programs and those kinds of things, and you're 7xing their sales, maybe you're seven digiting their sales. Um, what about me? Like I should be promoting this YouTube channel more. Is it good for promotion? And there's another question, but I'll ask you that question when you've answered this one.
Oh, okay. Cool. So basically, we also work with some artists. So in the agency last year, we actually took on some artists in the US that just wanted to blow up their channel and get massive exposure, right? So that I guess that would be more of a brand play or an exposure play than just like a direct response marketing play. Do you
Yes,
understand the difference of those two things?
I
So
do. Yeah, but you can explain it for anyone who might not know who's watching.
yeah. So, for example, direct response marketing play would be: look, we want to spend $1, but that dollar has to turn into three, four, five, $10. Okay, so
Yeah.
every dollar that we spend has to be profitable. So that's like direct marketing. Whereas a brand play would be: look, we've got X amount of budget that we just want to get our brand out there into the universe, and so we have when people see it, they know, oh, that's the YouTube guy, or oh, that's the whatever, or that's the marketing guy, so on that podcast, or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's where, like big corporates will go to things like TV and radio and those sorts of things. And they're not really looking for a return. They're just looking for like brand awareness. So That would be how I would explain it. Would you agree with that?
I would agree those two things. And then I'd say there's a third thing, which is probably where I'm sitting, which is I want to get more eyeballs on these videos. I want to get this information out to people. And more importantly, I want to get more subscribers. So I want to start building that kind of community rolling thing. Because my model is, because I am, what's the word? Uniquely opposed to corporations. So I think there'll be some poetic justice in Google paying me lots of money to produce these videos. That's kind of where I want to go. So if I were looking to promote my YouTube channel, with my YouTube channel being a source of revenue, is it effective? Like, so these guys who blew up their channel, what effect did it have for them?
Yeah, well, they're looking for views, and also like you have views and then earn views, and I'll talk about the differences there.
Good.
We also did so basically like growing a YouTube channel itself is probably a whole nother topic, right? And something that we have done as well. But being able to blow up a YouTube channel in a good way is in terms of paid strategy is probably I think the question that you're asking. So
Yes,
what
it
you can
is.
do there, yeah. So what you can do there in terms of paid reach, like what sort of paid reach you can get, it's actually like cents on the dollar. So if you wanted to blow up a Facebook channel, for example, the cost per view that you'll spend there in this sort of marketing space, you're going to be lucky to get sort of 5 cent views or 10 cent views or something like that for a marketing podcast thing out to the universe, right? Now, if you do the same thing on YouTube, it's going to be like 1, 2, 3 cents or something. So like super super cheap in terms of growing a channel. YouTube really wants to reward content that gets just basically blasted out there to the universe. So the more that they can keep people on their channel or wherever they're seeing their video, the better that is for them. So they actually reward people like yourself. Like let's say we want to get this video to go crazy. Like with $10 or $100, you can really blow out, get thousands and thousands and thousands of views on YouTube, which are way more engaged than you'll get on a lot of the interruptive based platforms because people hang around longer on YouTube. The watch time is way longer. In terms of the subscribe rates, you can actually see in there how many people subscribe and how many people watch. But the figure you really want to watch is earned views. So if you pay for a view, like let's say you spend a cent, 2 cents, 3 cents for a view, whatever it would be, and then they watch another video afterwards. So usually a YouTube video will have like at the end, you might say, hey, check out this video in the description below. Or at the end, you'll have your 2 thumbnails, right? Which will be related videos or the next videos that you want to watch. So you might put this in front of like this, you might have this video, oh, here's Ben Jones talking about YouTube ads, and we want to blast that out to the universe. And at the end of the video, say, hey, you might also really love that ad on Instagram ads or something. Check that out. And then if they've loved this video, then they'll click through to the next one. Now that next one is what's called an earned view. And if you're monetized, you'll get paid on that video. Not the first one, but you'll get paid on the second one. So there is some models out there of people paying for the first view and working it out with really good content on the next one. So you can actually pay a cent or two and earn 3 cents and make money on paying for ads on YouTube. So in terms of corporate justice, that's like the next level again. It's like even
Yeah.
using their platform to pay you more. So, but for what you want to do in terms of reach, like for the sake of $50 to $100 a month, you could really grow a YouTube channel very very quickly. So
Right. Okay, good.
yeah,
So the other question, though, there was a point in time where you could pay for the view and get paid on the views, and very often
yeah,
you'd get paid more for the view than you were paying for the view. It got confusing.
yeah. So now they do that, but you have to earn the view.
Yes,
That
yes.
makes
So you only
sense.
get
But
paid
the
on
other
the
thing,
second one.
sorry to interrupt. The other thing that this is really good for, which is where you could turn this into direct response marketing, is building the audience, right? So let's say you spend a couple of $100, you get heaps of views. Let's say you get a bunch of subscribers. What you're then able to do on YouTube later is market to those people again. So you could then show your YouTube ad for whatever it was. Hey, check out my new product thing, Gidget, whatever. And then you can actually target people who've watched your channel or watched a specific video or a playlist or whatever, which which then takes that to the next level again.
Yes. And this is where, because I've looked at it, because the content's rolling now, so it's all happening. There was another question. I will come back to the other question. So now I'm just going to rinse you for free consultancy on how to grow my channel, if that's cool. This is the phase that we're at in the interview. So this year, like, the content's rolling. It's the plan is to get to 5 a day. So that's one thing you have to do, is be super consistent and produce a lot of content. It's doing okay, but I was looking at advertising. But what I didn't see was I didn't see how there was no subscribe around the video, which seems to me to be a missed trick. So, like, literally, if it were cents per view, I would put $1 on every single video I put up. So so do those views count against your views is the first question. And also, how do you get them from there to subscribing? Do you have to do the banner or the click or the whatever? Because it just seems to me that there's too much, potentially, I don't know what I'm talking about, potentially there's too much of a journey between them seeing my ad and actually being what I want them to be, which is a subscriber or a repeat viewer.
Perfect. So what you would do is you actually use a content piece as an ad in this. So, like, this is the only time that you would do this. Okay. So if you want to correct the spot marketing, do not do this. Okay. So don't be saying, "Oh, Ben told me if I just put a YouTube ad video as an ad," just no. But in terms of growing a channel, what you want to do. So let's say, again, like this video, and let's say you spend, I don't know, $10 on this particular video, right? What would happen then is it would feed out. Now, the best place to put this video would be as a pre-roll ad, so one that would be skippable, right, as a piece of content. So usually in your content, you might start off the content with, "Hey, in this video, I'm going to interview Ben. He helps people, grow 7 figures. If you want to hang around to the end, make sure you do. We'll be covering heaps of cool stuff." So again, you still want to have your content video have a good hook, in regardless anyway, on YouTube. And then what that hook then turns into the hook of the ad. And then, of course, you just play your content. Now, where this can work really, really well is with keywords and placements. Okay. So for example, if people are typing in words like how to use YouTube ads, right? And obviously this is about YouTube ads. So how to grow my business with YouTube ads. You would do a keyword campaign for YouTube, like people typing those keywords in on YouTube. And then you would roll that as soon as they play a video. So let's go through the customer journey here. They've gone to YouTube, they've typed in how to do YouTube ads, right? They then go to the platform, they click on the first one that comes up with a nice pretty thumbnail, they go to play that. And instead of that video playing, you actually come on and go, "Hey, we're going to show you how to grow your business with YouTube ads. We're going to be talking to Ben. He helps people grow to multiple 7 figures with YouTube ads. Check it out. Heaps of good content, insider stuff that he only teaches his high-ticket clients." Something like that, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, they're like, oh, well, that's what I wanted to watch anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then they watch that content piece as though it was a normal content piece. So, and then it grows and grows and grows. And, they might stay for the next video or whatever.
Yes.
We find, So obviously, like, then it comes down to how good is your content piece and how well do you edit it up. Usually we're finding content pieces like more than 10 minutes for this sort of strategy are hard to do this with. So sort of that 7 to about 13-minute mark. So you would chop this video, like let's just say you were doing this exact video that we're talking about now. You would chop this video to about 10 minutes-ish, like 7 to 13 or something. And then you would run this video on search phrases around like what we're talking about, have a really good hook, and literally just play it as an ad, as a pre-roll ad, like cost per view would be the campaign you would run. And you would just like put $10 on it. And I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised with the results that you get out of just that one strategy.
Okay. Well, I'd be very pleasantly surprised if I actually did it because I've been and looked and, this comes back to my point. I mean, I'm going to ask you for recommendations, for your suggestions for what people should do. My number one recommendation is just get an agency because is changing all the time, and it's difficult. And I know this stuff, and I teach this stuff, and I can stand up in front of 30 people and say, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to do something else. And then when I come to do it, it's not quite as easy as I thought it was going to be, and I'm put off immediately. And 18 months later, I'm still talking to people about what I should do. The thing is about the videos is they're difficult to produce, but they are very keyword targeted. So it's literally, what is situational analysis? Why is situational analysis important? Who should be thinking about situational analysis? How do you do? When do you do? Do you know what I mean? So it's and they are 10 to 15 minutes long. So it is perfect. And so it should be even easier. Like I should do, like you say, the keyword, what is situational analysis? I should put it in front of all of the other videos that are what is situational analysis. The question I have is, given that I am so challenged by getting this done, is it actually going to be worth it if there's too much of a journey between them watching that video? Like the next suggested video, is that going to be one of my videos? Or I think YouTube are missing a trick. If there was a big fat, if you like this, there should be a campaign type. If you like this, subscribe to this channel. If that button were right there, 100%, I would find that 4.5 minutes is going to take me to put these campaigns together.
Yeah, well, pretty much that's how you do it. So you hit the nail on the head. You would literally just run it to placements and keywords around whatever topic, situational analysis it was. In terms of getting subscribers aren't what they used to be on YouTube. And the way that the content's feeding out now, in terms of I have all these subscribers, but no one's seeing as much of my videos as they were before, right? Like it's all changing. And the thing we need to understand, and I talk about this in the training we were talking about, saying just before this, is that all these platforms go through a life cycle, right? So
yes,
Facebook 10 years ago, all the people who liked your page or followed you saw every single video that you ever produced, right? But now, 10 years later, only 1% of those people are actually seeing it, right? Now, YouTube's on a similar trajectory, just like Facebook was, and TikTok will be, and Instagram went on, and the whole deal is that basically, like at the moment, YouTube's fantastic in terms of getting a reach and whatever, but they are starting to make some of the same moves that were happening previously. Like, for example, taking away like every single video on YouTube is now monetized, whether you like it or not. Obviously they're there to make money, and they're a big corporation and all the rest of it. In terms of showing more recommended content instead of the people you're subscribed to in your feed, that's also starting to come out. In terms of maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you just see all your subscribers. Now you need to click on your subscribers just to see all your subscribers' videos, because you get a lot of suggested videos and things like that.
Yes.
So like getting the subscribers are cool, but getting the views are better, and getting the engagement, because what you can actually, if someone's engaged with your content, and you can then serve them an ad or serve them whatever it is you want to serve them later on, that to me, that's the power play. Creating those audience of people that know, like, and trust me, that I can, those warm audiences. And basically, you think about building an email list or building a list of followers here, there, or wherever. The nice thing with YouTube is you actually get to build a list of people viewing your content and digesting it before you can make an offer to them. So it is a very, very good play in terms of building an audience before you show them an ad. So
yeah, look at us, man. We're here talking about power plays and stuff.
Yeah, well.
So that was the question. Now I've got another question. The question is, have you been in a situation where you've been able to compare a organic, that is like a natural channel growth, versus actual advertising?
In terms of growing it by paid advertising versus organic?
No, in terms of like, so let's say I am what am I? I'm a fitness coach. So have you been in a situation where you've worked with a fitness coach or anybody where they have put the effort in to grow an organic channel versus direct paid advertising? So for me, if I wanted to run events, then I might say, okay, I've got my YouTube channel, I'm investing in that, and it's happening. I know the answer to the question now already. This is obviously just immediate. This is just like you turn on a tap. And organic is you have to invest a lot of time and energy to actually grow that.
Yeah, so you either pay in one of two ways, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but you either pay with dollars or you pay with time. And with YouTube, the nice thing is you can pay with both. So, for example, like my own personal experience with this, one of my hobbies is actually gold prospecting, like going out to, I live in Australia, so we go out to the gold fields and we actually dig up like nuggets of gold, right? So,
Nuggets of gold?
Yeah, like actual gold nuggets.
Like this big?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm coming with you. Next time I come to Perth, we're going to do that.
It's super fun, right? And like prior to COVID, I couldn't travel, where I could not go anywhere. And to me, that was just like the worst thing you could do to a human like myself who's used to travel. And my cousin at the time, Matt, he was like, "Oh, come out prospecting with me." And I was like, "Yeah, I can do that." I went out and loved it. I was like, "This is like fishing for money. Like this is amazing." Right. And what we ended up doing, because the pandemic was on, we wanted to hire some detectives. We couldn't. So I just bought a whole bunch and started a hire company in my spare time. And then after that, I thought this would be really good to build out as a YouTube channel. The channel's called Complete Prospecting. You can go check it out. It's literally me and Matt digging up gold out of the ground. Right. And we thought, well, how long would it take us to monetize a channel with no paid marketing? So I didn't want to cheat, no paid marketing, just content. Now, to get a channel to get monetized, you have to have 4,000 watch hours and a whole bunch of drama, right? And in the end, we did it. And we have like one of our videos has got over 1 million views. I think the channel's got well over a couple of million or 1 million views or something. We got about 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers. I think it's 3 point something. And we just invested doing a video or so a week every week for, I think we had it monetized within about 6-7 months or something to get monetized. Now, contrary to that, we were having a look at some of the other companies we were working with, sort of growing their channel out with YouTube and spending cents on the dollar to grow it out. They were growing at a much faster rate than we could. And we were doing all the proper things. We had, the YouTube shorts. We had all the right bits at the right time. And had my social media manager manage the whole thing, like professionally done edited videos with professionally graphics done. Like we dropped a bunch of money on this test, right? And I can tell you now that while it was great, and that's actually a pretty good result to get your channel monetized in, say, less or 6-7 months, whatever it was. But that was nothing compared to what we were doing with some of these artists who were spending money on views and growing their channel out. They were just growing way, way faster. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea when I asked that question that you would have actually done the test. Thank you for that. Thank you for being that person who did that. I don't know if this is a question. Like, because the value of YouTube is that it is a search engine, it is an entertainment center, it is a social media, it is all of these things. It is like a how-to guide. It's all of these things. YouTube is an appalling search engine. Really, really bad. Like, I'm doing a marketing news thing, so I'd like to rank for marketing news. But if you search marketing news, you get stock market news. It's not marketing news. Like the homepage, like what I watch, sadly, is like alternative news and football. So anything that's 3 years old is of no use to me. But very often the suggested videos on that page are at least 3 years old. So I don't know what the question is. The question is, do you have thoughts on why YouTube would be such an appalling search engine?
Yeah, and how to turn that into an opportunity as well. So YouTube basically, the way that it works in terms of grabbing content under a search phrase, there's like less video content than there is blogs. Would that be fair? Like in terms of like websites and articles out there over the web, there's way more of that than videos. Now, video is becoming more popular and as a means of digesting content, and people are moving away from blog posts to more video content. The problem with video content, or good quality video content, is while there's some of it out there, it doesn't, trying to pull the right ones to the right keyword can be problematic for it. So they'll get like related ones, but if the keyword volume isn't big, I don't think the algorithm picks it up properly. So, and even if you're creating content and you're using something like, vidIQ or TubeBuddy or something like that, they'll literally show you like massive opportunities for you to create content because there's not much content on that particular search phrase. So what's going to happen as a marketer going forward, if you've got a good piece of content that you can rank for a keyword going forward, like the SEO opportunities of video inside of the YouTube platform as a content producer is absolutely massive, because there's less for them to pull as, say, blogs that Google can pull. Now, the flip side of that, of how there's an opportunity from the content side, but it's also an opportunity from the ad side. So, for example, if you go type like how to make money online into YouTube, you'll get a lot of related videos, or like how to lose weight, or whatever one of the big keywords are. But what you'll also see are the ads, the image-based, ads that they have pop up from YouTube ads that can be a video before the videos, right? So if you wanted to be marketing news, you could do a discovery ad, or an ad that would literally pop up with the thumbnail of your content piece video under any search phrase in YouTube. And that's massively powerful. So in terms of like clicks to your content, very, very, very cheap way of growing your channel out. So that's probably what I'd recommend there. So if you want to come up under marketing news and the content there is rubbish, well, that's a massive opportunity for you to put your content there for like literally cents to the click, right on the fetch and underneath whatever search phrase that you want to go for. So
yes,
that's another powerful thing you can do with YouTube ads. So
yeah, the thing is, I suppose, yeah, I'm just thinking of a content producer, like, because the other thing that goes on is I'm not a huge believer in algorithms. So for me, if you want to understand these platforms or any business's intention, you just read the first page of their company report, where it says, we exist to produce profits for our shareholders. So there's no mystery to any of these algorithms. Like, literally, YouTube wants watch time. It wants people sitting in front of its platform so it can run more ads. It's very simple. But what is frustrating to me is that it doesn't really, in the way that it used to, give new content much of a go. It really is down to you as an individual to market that content and to bring people to YouTube, because they will, I suppose, it's fine, it's their business, but they will always put forward the content that generates the most watch time and the most views, because that's when they get to place the most ads. So I don't know what it is. The thing is, I don't talk to Australians enough where you have this positive mental outlook. Well, I just think, oh, the search engine shit, and you just think, it's an opportunity then for you. Cool. What else did I want to ask? So we've got a sense of who you work with, but do you want to give us a better sense of who you work with and the kind of value that you add to their lives?
Yeah, sure. So we work with anyone who either has a proven the proven sales process. I know I talked about it before, or like a sales process that can be profitable with paid ads. And a lot of people don't know if they are or not. So the first thing we actually do is we like schedule a call with them. We run them through a marketing calculator and go, hey, YouTube ads will work for you or they won't. And that's really the first thing that we need to work out. In most cases, like we work with pretty much anyone. If you're running ads on Facebook right now and you're getting a positive result in any way, we can smash that in YouTube ads. So I'm yet to see a Facebook ads campaign we can't beat with YouTube ads. So basically anyone who's running ads on Facebook right now that has a proven sales process, that's one of our avatars. The other avatar would be, look, anyone who's got a lifetime value of a client. So if your client is worth more than $1,000 and you're in any sort of like coaching or training or service-based business, like that's a lot of our core work. And then we also work with, a few e-commerce brands and things like that. But the key is to work out if you're going to be profitable before you start, and then wrap a really cool process that's going to work on YouTube around that. So probably that's two main avatars. One is going to be if you're running ads on Facebook already and you're some way profitable, coming over to YouTube. And the other one would be, service-based businesses or people looking for leads or clients, and their client is worth, even 500 upwards. We can really help them grow and scale. So.
Okay, super cool. And the value you add to their lives is you get much more value from their advertising spend.
Yeah, well, the value that we add is scale. So a lot of businesses are frustrated. Well, the ones we talk to are usually frustrated that they're trying to grow their business and they're relying on Facebook, and they've just seen their Facebook ads costs over the past couple of years go through the roof. And what used to be a very profitable model for them is not anymore. Does that make sense? So
100%
then they're
makes sense.
looking for like what do we do now? Where do we go? And then there's like, oh, we go make TikTok ads and market to 16-year-olds. So the next play is YouTube, and then they're like, oh, we have to create video ads, and that's hard. But that's not actually the case. So so basically that there are people, pretty much anyone who's looking for direct response marketing, or even if they just want to grow their channel out, we can help them do that too. So
Okay.
anyone who's looking for good results with YouTube, basically, at the end of the day.
Excellent. And your recommendation for anyone who is thinking about starting with YouTube ads or wants to get more efficiency from their YouTube ads?
If you're already running YouTube ads, so there's probably two answers there. So let's say you're already running YouTube ads and you really want to scale them out. Okay, I would take a really good, first thing I would have a look at. Again, I'd come back to your sales process. First question is, are you running any split testing on your first page? Because if you can increase your conversion rate on that by 5 or 10%, you'll increase everything by 5 or 10%, right? So that would be my first thing. The second thing would be, look, if you're running YouTube ads already, how many different creatives have you tried? And is your messaging going out to separate avatars? In most cases, the answer to that is going to be no. You're running a very broad, or even if you're layering your targeting, you're probably just running out to very broad audiences, and the messaging isn't lining up with the audience that you're targeting. So that the message to the audience is super key. So you want to be able to talk to the right person with the right message. Now, the other thing that you would do, so right person, right message, make sure that you're actually doing a pitch in that first 30 seconds. I could guarantee most people aren't, to pre-qualify people before they click. So that would be another way to fix what you're already doing on YouTube. And then depending on what you're doing, I'd have to have a look at your campaign or whatever. But those things are going to be really, really key. Like message to market match, combined with what's going on with your sales process. How do you increase that? And then it would just be scaling out. So how to scale up with those audiences and those ads. And I'd probably even try a few more creatives, because people suffer from their own success a bit on YouTube. They'll have maybe 3 ads or 5 ads or something, but they're not continually testing new hooks. So the hook would be the first thing I'd test a whole bunch of different hooks. And, if you've got an ad that works, literally run an experiment where you can test different hooks on that ad and go from there. So, there's a whole bunch of plays if you're already running YouTube ads that you can try to increase your YouTube advertising. And I think your second question was, how do you get started with, was it? Or
yes.
Did I miss that? Yeah. So the second question was how do I get started with YouTube advertising? And this is literally where I'd say, look, come back again to your sales process, have a look at what's going on, make sure that's going to work. If you've got a proven sales process, then the next step would be, okay, map out your avatars. So work out who it is you want to talk to. So I want to talk to this person, in this group, this person in this group. The example I used before of, professional mums versus homeschooling mums need to be spoken to differently. So I'd create ads around that. And then the next thing that I would do when I came onto YouTube is I'd layer my targeting. And this is probably relevant to the people who are already running ads, is if you're not already, if you're selling something over a couple of $100, even if you're getting leads to something that's over a couple of $100, you need to have your income set to top 50% of people, right? Because again, depending on what your offer is and what you're offering, because if you're sending your message out to people who can't afford your products, they will be clicking and checking out, and then they won't be able to buy your product or service. So if you're doing anything high ticket, anything worth anything, make sure you layer your audience out by income. And then, of course, I'd wrap that with intent. So start at the top. What are their main interests? Go to what people are interested in, and there's heaps of cool targeting you can do there on YouTube. The next one would be, okay, can they afford my product? So what are the income? And then I'd layer that with, the last one would be, what intent actions are they taking? Now, if you've got your targeting super laser focused like that, and you're going out to people with the right message, speaking to them as a human would, your YouTube advertising is going to be successful. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, my recommendation would be, it's a pain in the bum. Get yourself a professional. I would recommend Ben Jones. If you are on a Asian, Australasian type timescale, maybe speak to Tom Breeze in the UK if you're on that kind of timescale. So what does your proposition then look like? Like what do people need to be prepared to invest if they're gonna be engaging with you?
Yeah, so we have two different models. So we have like an agency. Usually, the agency clients are spending more than to $20,000 a month. So we usually have corporates and bigger companies in that section of the agency. And so if you wanted agency with us and you're not spending $10,000 a month, we're probably not, like if your advertising budget isn't there, like our fees won't work if that makes sense. So
Yep, yep.
that would be the minimum qualifier there in terms of if you want it completely done for you. Now that comes with ads created, scripts written, full managed, get your reports at the end of the month, that kind of thing. And that would depend, like in terms of costing, it would depend on what it is you're marketing, what your ad budget is, what you're expecting. All of that needs to go into like a custom quote. On the other side, we do have a program where we run people through like a 3-month journey. Now, we actually did used to offer this as a 12-month program, and we've actually like condensed the whole thing into 3 months, which works really, really well. So basically, within the first month, the first 2 weeks, we get all your ads built, we get your scripts written, and we get your campaigns up. So you're literally running traffic within 2 weeks on YouTube. And within the first month, you'll start getting leads and sales into the business. The reason that it's a 3-month program is because we then show you how to grow and scale it over the next 2 months. So you're actually left with a full process that takes about 10 to 15 minutes a day to manage after the 3 months. So, and there's different levels at that of what people want there. But usually we include things like, all your ad scripts written by proper copywriters. We go through all your targeting and sales process, which is the thing I'm talking a lot about because that really does make a massive difference. And then adding on YouTube as the platform to really drive those quality like leads or prospects into your business after that. So yeah, they're the two models that we offer. We find that the thing that really gets people the great results is that done with you process over a 3-month period. So,
Yeah.
and we actually have like unlimited Zoom calls in there as well. So you can actually book in a Zoom call within 24 hours and have one of the team jump into your account, show you where to click, what to do. So it's very handheld, and that it's pretty much showing people how to fish instead of just giving them the fish. The problem with agency is if I get hit by a bus or we decide not to do agency tomorrow, businesses are then left with the problem of, oh crap, where do we go that's going to understand what we do at the level that those guys did without spending a fortune of them getting it wrong for the first 2 months, right? So
Yeah.
So the thing we really like helping people with is that program, is the 3-month done with them, like fully step by step. Get your sales process, get your messaging right, get the proper foundations in your business working, and get your ads running within 2 weeks, and then grow and scale out from there. So
Cool.
yeah, it
I
works
think
really well.
I think that as well. I think if people can get their head around it, it is much better if they can learn to do the marketing themselves. Do you know what I mean? It is much better because they make the decision. Otherwise it becomes a game of Chinese whispers. They think something, they try and relay it. The person thinks something, they don't quite get. It just gets insane. So if that can work, that's definitely first prize. Okay, good.
And just on that, the other thing too is if you don't want to do it, like maybe someone like yourself is just like, nah, I ain't got time for that. And most business owners do. Find someone in your business that can, or
Yes.
even if you hire an outsourcer from the Philippines or something that can come in and learn the process that we're teaching and implement it in your business. And that way, even though you're not doing it, you can still get the reports like an agency, but it's in-house. You're then empowered to run your marketing instead of being reliant on someone else. So
100%. Good. I agree with that. Okay, good. Question number 4. We made it. How does it feel to have made it to question number 4?
Yeah, cool, man. Did not many people usually make it, or?
No, everyone makes it.
Okay.
So I think we should.
So don't get
Well,
a
we don't.
participation medal or something.
The thing is, what we don't normally do is get to question number 2 and question number 3 because we have like a really long chat that incorporates all of that stuff. So at this point, I'll be saying, "Oh, you kind of answered this and you kind of answered that." So we go straight to question number 4. Question number 4 is: what do you recommend people read?
For YouTube itself, or for just marketing in general?
for marketing, life, YouTube, business, whatever it is.
Yeah, so I'm actually what I'm reading at the moment is Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. I'm quite enjoying that.
Okay.
That's interesting. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm quite enjoying that. I mean, probably if I was to talk like marketing books and that sort of thing, um, what do we read? I've been reading some really cool stuff on. Let me grab my Audible here, and I'll tell you my last couple of cool things I've read. I quite like the one from Jacko Willix, which was Extreme Ownership. I really enjoyed that. I just finished that the other day. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
Extreme ownership.
Yeah, that was actually really cool. For some reason, I can't open my Audible account. Here we go. Library. Sorry, just one sec. I should have been a bit more prepared. I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone, actually. So any of his stuff is absolutely amazing. I'd probably recommend the Be Obsessed or Be Average. That's in my top 5 books. So just being super obsessed about business. That's literally one of my top 5. Own Your Day by Aubrey Marcus. That's another one. It would be worth a good read. What else have we got in here? So, yeah. So anything by Brian Tracy, love Brian Tracy. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. That was a bit of a win. I quite like that. Obviously 10X again by Grant Cardone. As mentioned, Extreme Ownership. So they're probably the last sort of top 5 or 6 books that I've read that I thought were really cool. So
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's many more than most people. No one normally opens their Audible and starts listing the books. That's really cool. I'm going to make little shorts out of those. It's going to be reading recommendations from. I'm also thinking about, because I need to package this up. I've shot already the 50th episode, and it's going to be up in a couple of weeks. So I think I'm going to pitch us as the League of Marvelous Marketers or something like that. Because there's already 50 people. On average, people have 20 years there's already 1,000 years of experience in this series, so I do need to start thinking about how I package it, which is a beautiful segue to you throwing somebody under the bus who you think might add value to my tiny little audience, or might enjoy the process of having one of these conversations, or might just endure it for, as a personal favor because they're a very generous soul. Who are you going to throw under the bus? All right, good. So that's the best setup that I've ever done for somebody throwing people under the bus. So I was just wanting recommendations. Who can you introduce me to who might be prepared to go through this process with me?
Sure. So a couple of people actually. So I think in terms of Facebook in Australia, I just listened to a presentation of Kerry this morning. She's a friend of mine. She does messenger marketing competitions. She'd be good.
What's her name? Sorry.
Kerry Fitzgibbons. I can reach out to her if you like. And
Super
then
cool.
the other ones, probably someone like I don't know if Darren's not doing it anymore. Maybe who'd be really good for this at this level? Probably, who was here this week? He had a really good presentation this morning. It's mine. I saw a really good thing which I thought would be John. Do you familiar with John Dwyer?
John Dwyer? No, I've never heard of John Dwyer.
Dwyer, yeah. So he's like the Institute of Wow. He's pretty cool. He's actually doing this really awesome thing all around what's called incentive-based marketing.
Okay.
So, and he's a real character. I think he'd be funny on this. But he's in terms of he has this thing where he incentivizes anything that you're selling and how to stop selling on price in terms of your marketing and all of that. He's been around for ages. He'd be really cool. Another one would be maybe even Simon Bowen from the Models Method. I don't know if you know Simon.
I don't know Simon, no.
But yeah, any of those guys would be sort of in Australia, they're well known. They're sort of the top of their game sort of deal. So I can reach out to a couple of those guys if you like, and send your details through. So
If you could, that would be absolutely amazing. So much.
yeah, no
Thanks
worries.
so much, man. Yeah. So what
Yeah,
normally works is like some sort of introduction on LinkedIn. So if you can do that, then I will pick it up from there.
yeah.
Cool.
Did you have any topic that you really wanted or anything, or?
No, the nice thing about getting referrals is I've got no idea where it's going or what people are going to want to talk about. But so it's kind of the universe is guiding it in that sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll reach out to these couple of guys anyway, and I'll just. It's a shame because I was literally just chatting with them this morning. So I'll yeah, I'll reach out to them and just say, hey, I spoke with these really cool podcasts. You might be interested, and yeah, go from there. So
Yes. Okay. Cool. Well, this is now officially the most disrupted one of these conversations I've ever had. So thank you so much for your time, man. It's been really useful and really interesting. And yeah, maybe in the future we can do another one. We can talk about the youth work that you're doing. I think that would be really cool.
okay, cool, man. Yeah, just let us know. Look, if there's anything that I can do to help you or whatever, that'd be great. In terms of the recording, do you send through the recording at all? Or that way I can probably get my guys to chop it up as well. So.
If you want to do that, I can 100% do that. Normally, I just top and tail it and cut out anything that's too much of a gap in the middle. So I'll do that, and then I'll get that to you. And yeah, if you guys want to chop it up, that'd be perfect.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll probably just chop up some of the bits of me talking about YouTube. My social media manager was like, "Oh wow, that's cool. I'll chop that all up for you." I was like, "Okay." So
Super cool. That's what I need to. I
yeah.
need someone like that to do that now for the 55 of these that I've done. It will happen at some point in the future. Okay,
Cool,
you're
man.
an absolute legend,
Awesome.
man. Thank you so much for your time, and
That's all
I will catch up with you again soon.
right. Okay, thanks, bud.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you. Bye.
See ya.